Steelers 365 here at TribLive.com with Guy Junker, Ken Laird. All brought to you by Eastern H2O. They've got the Reactor watches for you there, the best-built performance sports watch, period. Great sales and specials, and, of course, skis and snowboards take them in to get waxed. Too much off-season, never a good thing, Guy. Not for the fans, and certainly not for the players who sometimes get into problems. It took about a week for Cut Rainey to get into trouble. He has been released. Are you surprised? And that he was released, fairly straight away within an hour and a half before, a lot of this is just a charge at this point, of course. The legal system hasn't run its course, but also a lot of cynical people out there that will throw the Steelers under the bus for, in a mocking way. This is not consistent through the years. Some guys they make exceptions for, some guys they don't, but taking on this example, I think they deserve some credit. You've got to make a decision, and in this particular case, they acted swiftly.
Well, it is true. We learn at a young age when we're in junior high that the star athletes get better credit. If this were if this were Ben Roethlisberger, if this were
James
Harrison, Brett Kiesel, Troy Polamalu, would they have been cut? Absolutely not. But at least, look, this guy's had more than one issue here. This isn't the first time. He's had a couple even, he had some before the Steelers drafted him. He had several now that we find out even while he was playing for the team. So what if he would have ran for 1,000 yards this year in his rookie season? I mean, he was their leading kick returner. So I don't know that that's cynical. I think that's a fair criticism, but I don't think that means you take away from them doing the right thing here.
Well, that's what I mean.
I am a little surprised. I mean, John Steigerwald was talking yesterday. You're looking at a league-wide now, that is punishing guys for something like Bountygate, like the New Orleans Saints, when all they're really doing is beating up on each other and playing the game maybe a little extra harder than they normally would. Those guys are getting fined and suspended, but yet they're going to let assault, especially assault against a woman, go in many cases. So I applaud the Steelers for the move they make here, but I think it's a fair criticism that this is not a key cog in their roster, and had it been, they probably would not have cut him.
It sure sounded after the draft like Mike, Kevin Colbert told Mike Adams, the second-round pick, and Cut Rainey, the fifth-round pick, because of their past, hey, you've already got a strike. No tolerance. I mean, we're going to be very tough on you here. You're walking the thin line, so you've got to toe that line. In that case, you do take every player on an individual basis. What would be interesting to me would be if James Harrison or Ben Roethlisberger would get into further legal trouble, and it would be their second strike. Would the organization act the same way? And like everybody else, my hunch is you're right, probably not.
And now you look at the Te'amu case. Why do you keep him around? That was much more serious than what took place here.
And he had a previous DUI.
And he had previous issues as well. And he certainly isn't a star. But they did cut him, demote him, bring him back on the practice squad. So not only did he lose money out of it, I guess they had a chance of losing him as well if someone else picked them up. So maybe it's not as inconsistent as you think.
Well, and maybe perhaps they felt like they needed to stand by him at that point and try to work with him through his problem of alcoholism, which is obviously an issue he's got. But at the same point, you could make the case about Rainey too. It's a complex decision. The Steelers do cut one thing to come out of this. They're going to need to address the running back position.
Well, that's what I was going to say next. I look at it from a football point of view because that's what we do and that's what we like. And from that, my question is, does this not that they're the same position or anything? Does this make you think maybe they got to try to work a deal with Mendenhall? Does this mean they got to draft a running back a little higher than they originally thought? It is a situation where the running game was not good with everybody in the stable, and everybody's not in the stable. You might be down Rainey, and Mendenhall by the time you go to camp.
And I guess we agree, the running game, if not the running back position, the area of greatest need for the team going into the offseason.
And some of that was the inconsistency of the offensive line. As we've mentioned a billion times, that when they had 3 or 4 consecutive games with the same guys playing up front, that was when their running game was the best all year. So part of their evaluation is to look at this and how much of it is the backs, how much of it is the scheme, how much of it is the offensive line. There's probably a little bit of all of it in there.
2 weeks of offseason, 1 arrest. Let's hope this pace does not continue with Pittsburgh Steelers heading into 2013. For Guy Junker, Ken Laird, it's Steelers 365 here at Trib Live.